火箭弹又打过来了，我那么多，
拦截不了这么多，
这应该打不到我们这里啊。
他们就希望自己的平民伤亡，是吧？他把这个什么那武器的出口设在幼儿园边上，是吧？就愿意让以色列的炸弹炸到这个幼儿园，然后只要死了儿童，哇，如获至宝，举着这儿童就上街游行去了，看着以色列残忍，欧美的这些白左就开始拉偏手，是吧？然后就开始这个制止以色列，是吧？恐怖分子怎么袭击以色列？没见他们说一句话。只要以色列一还手，他们就出来制止，各种制裁，各种谴责的决议就来了。这就真的是完全胡扯了。你要不把这个所有的军事目标跟民用目标混在一块儿，就不可能有这种良莠不分、玉石俱焚。而以色列已经做到最大可能避免对无辜平民的伤害。
حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل الله الله
这个恐怖分子的坐车被以色列的导弹命中，这导弹里边不是炸药，而是6枚高速旋转的刀片，是吧？这个后座的恐怖分子头子被切成了肉馅，前座的司机只受轻伤。这多厉害啊！这完全实现了让领导先走的这个方法。所以谁要挑动战争，谁要拿人民当炮灰的话，现在干这招已经不灵了。那以色列这种精确打击、定点清除啊，这种招太绝了，直接就面对这个恐怖分子去啊！而且你恐怖分子干这事儿不就为了发财吗？你不是盖了豪宅吗？我给你摧毁。你不是在海外账户有资金吗？我给你冻结。你看平民百姓也都兴高采烈吧？你看这恐怖分子的豪宅被拆除的时候，你看有一个平民百姓如丧考妣吗？没有，人都举着手机跟那拍照呢。在以色列用这个铁穹去反击。这个铁穹这套系统研制就花了10几亿美元，一枚导弹的造价在几万美元左右。那么也就是说，以色列打一枚铁穹，他就赔老鼻子了。你用几万美元的东西去反制几百美元的东西，性价比实际上低得惊人。但是以色列就这么干，因为什么都没有人命值钱啊！以色列有一句名言：我们是被上帝抛弃的民族，所以被上帝抛弃的民族不再抛弃任何一个人。这个以色列对待的老百姓是什么态度，是吧？我这个人质被劫持了，我不跟你谈什么，我几千公里过去，我也得把我的人质救回来，是吧？100多人平安返回，这都是军事史上的奇迹，教科书级的这个奇迹。你要有本事，两军队员，枪对枪，杆对杆，兵对兵，将对将，咱干一场，是吧？你死得有尊严，是吧？所以你说，咱们讲过很多次，是吧？你说日本的神风特工队开着飞机去撞美国航母、撞美国战列舰，这种行为虽然蠢，但是他是军人，他死的壮烈，他是军人，我打击的是你的军用目标啊！你像本拉登那个蠢货开着飞机撞美国的民用目标，那就是混蛋啊，那就应该被消灭。是吧？他就应该被消灭，对吧？你那就是恐怖行为。
Hypocrisy in the volatile theater of the Middle East, the Iran-Israel conflict has escalated into a grim spectacle of strategy, sacrifice, and international finger-pointing. Picture this: Iran, alongside its proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, has perfected a masses tactic. Straight out of the Chinese Communist Party's playbook, hiding rockets in civilian neighborhoods, launching drones from backyards, and crying foul when the inevitable counterstrikes hit. Meanwhile, Israel wields a high-tech sword of justice, slicing through the chaos with surgical precision to neutralize threats while minimizing collateral damage. And then there's the Cap, perched on the sidelines, sanctimoniously condemning Israel while cozying up to Tehran a masterclass in double standards. This article dives into Iran's cynical use of civilians as shields, Israel's calculated self-defense, and the peace role as both inspiration and hypocritical critic, all while spotlighting the real victims, the Iranian people caught in the crossfire. First, Iran's masses tactics. A classic with a Persian twist, Iran's strategy is as old as it is ruthless: weaponize the masses. It's a tactic that honed during its guerrilla wars from the masses to the masses, as Mao famously quipped. But Iran's taken it up a notch, blending communist cunning with religious zeal and ethnic grudges. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRG, and its proxies, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and just fight from the shadows they fight from your grandma's living room. Rockets whiz out of densely packed civilian zones, weapons caches nestle beside schools and mosques, and when Israel retaliates, the cameras roll to capture the carnage. Look at the Zionists slaughtering innocents, they wail, clutching the moral high ground like a cheap prop. Take June 15, 2025. Iran lobbed 50 ballistic missiles at Israel, launched not from remote bases, but from teeming urban sprawls. The goal: tie Israel's hands. Strike back, and you're damned for civilian deaths hold back, and the barrages keep coming. It's moral blackmail, pure and simple, and it's eerily reminiscent of the Peace People's War ethos, except Mao's troops at least pretended to arm the peasants, not use them as human sandbags. Hamas, Iran's star pupil, has turned this into an art form. In Gaza, rocket launchers sprout from apartment blocks and hospital courtyards. When Israel's precision, guided munitions hit, the body count spikes, and Hamas floods us with footage. Hashtags like Israel, kills trending faster than you can say propaganda. A user quipped, Hamas treats civilians like mobile ammo dumps fire, a shot, cash a sympathy check. Hezbollah pulls the same stunt in Lebanon, stashing arms in Beirut's slums, daring Israel to bomb, and then playing the victim card. It's a playbook the would applaud straight out of Yemen, just with more beards and fewer red flags. Second, drones and missiles. Iran's people's tech upgrade Iran's not content with just copying the peace homework. They've added drones and missiles to the mix, turning masses tactics into a high-tech horror show. On June 14, 2025, 100 drones buzzed toward Israeli civilian zones, launched from alleys and rooftops in Iran's own cities. The IRCS logic is chilling. If we lose, it's the people's blood, not ours. Israel's air defenses lit up the night, but the message was clear. Iran's turned Mao's enemies real into everyone's backyard. This is the peace ragtag guerrillas ambushing Japanese outposts. Iran's globalized the game, dispatching drones and advisors to Syria, Yemen, even plotting Ramadan revenge hits in Europe. The IRCS Quds force operates like a terrorist FedEx, vast, shadowy, and untraceable. And the launch sites, right next to civilian homes, ensuring any counter-strike paints Israel as the villain. S-user Israel nailed it. Iran flies drones like kites, tethered by civilian life's genius. If you're a sociopath, the cut connection deepens here. Iran's learned not just tactics but mobilization tricks, coercing its people into the war machine, much like the Cultural Revolution's mass struggle sessions. Dissenters vanish, labeled Zionist spies, while kids are marched through streets with death to Israel placards. It's Red Guards meets Green Guard, a grotesque echo of Maoist madness. Third, proxies in action. Gaza and Lebanon's human shields. Iran's not fighting alone, it's outsourced the dirty work to Hamas and Hezbollah, who've turned civilian zones into war zones. In Gaza, Hamas buries rocket launchers in residential sprawl, firing and fleeing as Israel's bombs rain down. The collateral damage is their currency, a very dead child of Perwin. In October 2024, Israel flattened 6 Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon, only to find they'd been tucked into urban slums. Hezbollah bolted, leaving civilians to take the hit, then screamed human rights to the mobile warehouses. Israel Warren Hamas sneered on S. Store weapons, collect tears. Hezbollah's business model. The peace fingerprints are subtle but unmistakable. This is people's war gone rogueless, about liberating the masses, more about sacrificing them for optics. Iran's proxies don't just mimic Mao's hit, and they've weaponized the fallout, turning every strike into a global guilt trip. And who's cheering from the bleachers? China, of course, with its pious tusking at Israel's aggression. Fourth, Israel's response. Precision as justice Israel does play Iran's game. Instead of carpet bombing, it opts for precision, think scalpel, not sledgehammer. On June 13, 2025, Operation Rising Lion saw Israeli jets obliterate Iran's nuclear sites and Irg Brascom, Anders Salami and Chief of Staff Bagheri among them, without leveling cities. The nuclear program, set back years, civilian casualties, minimal, preemptive, precise, effective, the I'd, if boasted, and they weren't wrong. Flashback to 2020. Israel's AI-driven machine guns sniped Iran's missile father, Fakhrizadeh, on a highway, leaving no trace but a smoking truck. Same year, Ayus. Drone took out Quds force, Kingpin Soleimani. Israel's intel reportedly in the mix. In Gaza, 2021, 2024, Israel's tunnel busters used facial recognition and smart bombs to pick off Hamas commanders underground, sparing the surface. Google engineers couldn't do better, one analyst mused. This isn't Vengeance survival. Facing a foe that hides behind skirts and schoolyards, Israel's sword of justice cuts through the noise, targeting the head, not the herd. Iran calls it aggression, the cries provocation. But when your neighbor's lobbing missiles from playgrounds, restraint isn't an opon, it's a death sentence. Fifth, Iran's real casualties. Its own people who pays the price for Iran's antics. Not the mullahs sipping tea in Tehran, but the Iranian people. That June 13 airstrike killed 220 civilians because the IRC parked its toys in their neighborhoods. No protection, just exploitation. The regime spins the deaths into nationalist fuel, but the cracks show. Dissenters disappear, protests are crushed, and kids are brainwashed into cannon fodder. Sound familiar? It's the peace Xinjiang playbook press, then blame the foreign enemy. Iranians aren't blind. They know the warehouse under their block isn't a grocery store, but speak up and you're a traitor. Mubatek on S lamented, Iran's people are the real loser spawns in a game they didn't sign up for. Economic collapse, censorship, and the ever-present threat of accidental bombs. It's a life sentence under a regime that cares more about headlines than head counts. Sixth, the peace double game. Mentor and moralist enter China, the conflict's sanctimonious peanut gallery. Every Israeli win triggers a Beijing tantrum, keep the peace. Thunder's ambassador Lai Song, slamming the 2025 nuclear strikes as provocation. Yet China's hands aren't clean. It's Iran's economic lifeline, inking energy deals while Tehran's missiles fly. And those masses tactics, Iran didn't invent them. China's guerrilla gospel did. The hypocrisy's thick enough to choke on. The COP, which runs re-education camps in Xinjiang and crushed Tiananmen dreamers, clutching pearls over Israel's self-defense. It's laughable. Mao's heirs don't mind Iran's civilian shields, they just hate that Israel's tech trumps their prox chaos. A thriving democracy thwarting a terrorist statelet stings when your own stability rests on tanks and lies. Seventh, history's echoes, from Yan'an to Tehran zoom out and the Iran parallels sharpen. Mao's People's War rallied peasants against invaders, Iran's pits martyrs against Zionists. The Cultural Revolution silenced intellectuals with mob violence, Iran's regime jails critics, and parades kids in propaganda stunts. Both wield the masses as toolsets, bendable, exploitable, and endlessly replaceable. Tehran's just added a law and nukes to the recipe. Israel's story diverges, born from survival, not ideology. It's fought off annihilation since 1948. Precision strikes aren't bravadour necessity, honed by decades of neighbors hard, rather die than deal. The can't stand it, a tiny nation, ringed by foes, thriving through innovation while their client states flail. Eighth, the global stage, who's watching? The world's reaction is a mixed bag. The US backs Israel's right to defend itself, though Biden's de-escalation pleas ring hollow. Europe waffles, torn between condemning Iran's proxies and tutting Israel's disproportionate replies. The UN's a circus resolutions pile up, but Iran's veto, wielding pals high, China keep the heat off. Meanwhile, S buzzes with memes, Iran's human shield starter, pack mosque, hospital, sob story. China's grandstanding flops outside its echo chamber. Most see through the peace aesthetic. Beijing's just mad its Middle East pawns losing. Iran's tactic might win sympathy points, but Israel's results win wars. Conclusion, justice, freedom, and a call to action. This isn't a fair fight. Iran's people's shield is a coward's gambithiding behind the helpless, banking on guilt to shield its aggression. Israel's sword of justice is a desperate necessity, wielded with precision to protect a nation under siege. The peace role, a cynical puppeteer, propping up Tehran while scolding Jerusalem, all to mask its own sins. The real tragedy is Iran's people, hostages to a regime that sells their lives for propaganda. They deserve better than to be meat shields for mullahs. Israel deserves applause, not censure, for defanging a foe that happily nuke it off the map and the world. It needs to ditch the rose. Tinted glasses call out Iran's thuggery, China's duplicity, and back the one side fighting for survival, not supremacy. So here's the plea. Support Israel's right to exist, amplify Iran's oppressed voices, and tell the to shove its sanctimony where the sun does shine. Freedom's messy, but it beats tyranny's body count any day. That's our video. Let's end today with a shared hope for a world of peace and a future built on kindness. Together, let's stand in solidarity with the people of Iran. Immeme. If y'all like to support the channel, a like and subscribe makes a huge difference. See you in the next one. Goodbye.